So, Stu, when I say to you communist living conditions, what do you think of?
I think of empty store shelves.
Okay. Yeah.
I think of gulags and.
Mm-hmm. But you also think everybody's paying their fair share.
I'm
and
sorry.
Nobody's getting rich, right? Nobody's getting rich.
That's definitely not what I think of. But but that's the promise.
Yeah. Okay.
Of it, right?
All right. So when I say Uganda, what do you think of?
Uganda.
Yeah.
I mean, not a ton.
Yeah, right.
Frankly.
Not a ton. I think what comes to mind, whether it's
about it.
Yeah. So whether it is, whether it's true or not, I think poverty. I think Africa, poverty.
Okay.
Gun, war, gun lords, drug lords, warlords, that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, the candidate, who is a communist, remember what you thought of communism, went to his home in Uganda. Remember what you were thinking about Uganda. And it's a compound. Now listen to this story. This is from the New York Post. Socialist New York City mayor or mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani celebrated his recent nuptials with a lavish 3-day affair at his family's ritzy, secluded Ugandan compound, complete with masked security guards and a cell phone jamming system. The gates of the bustling private compound, which sits in the wealthy Bazuga Hill, outside of the capital city of Kampala, were heavily guarded by military-style masked men this week, with guests streaming in and partying until midnight, according to sources who wish to remain anonymous. The home is set back from the road and sits on 2 acres of lush gardens surrounded by trees, has breathtaking panoramic views of Lake Victoria, and features at least 3 security gates. This week, it was transformed into a party pad with Christmas lights strung through the canopy of trees in the garden and music blaring, sources said. On Tuesday, buses, several Mercedes and Range Rovers were seen driving into the compound. Outside the Mamdani house, there were more than 20 Special Forces Command unit guards, some in masks. There was a phone jamming system set up, all for the strictly private, invite-only Mamdani event. One gate had 9 guards stationed on it. Mamdani's parents, Nair, 67, and her husband, Mahmoud Mamdani, 78, an anti-Israel political theorist, lived on the estate, but also split their time between New York and New Delhi. On Friday, inside the compound, there were military-style tents being taken down as the party had finished. Blah, blah, blah. The property is isolated enough that some locals weren't even aware of the 3-day wedding extravaganza. Local children have been watching Mamdani on TV, and everyone was talking about him, but not about the wedding. For us, it was just about survival. For us, it's just about survival. We're trying to win the bread and make sure our family's okay. We had heard that Mamdani was going to be mayor of New York, and he had made it over to America. We want to know if we can get free visas in the U.S. and to travel to New York like he did. While the Mamdani family celebrated, neighbors were in mourning for a former, Supreme Court justice in Uganda who had lived a stone's throw away from the Mamdani place, and he had died July 14th. The president also came to pay his respects for the dead. The street was blocked by the president's cars, a local said. Some found Mamdani's wedding bash insensitive because the culture here, it is insensitive to have a wedding celebration in the same week as a mourning. People are still mourning. Blah, 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 blah. He has not even been buried, and we have friends coming to give last words to mourn before the burial next week, yet Mamdani is celebrating his wedding for 3 days. Now, this is actually what I think of when I think of communism. Here's a guy saying, you know what? We got to help the poor. We got to help the poor. How much is enough? And yet his family has a place in New York, New Delhi, and Uganda. And it looks like a warlord palace, honestly. It's got razor wire just to keep what out? The poor? The poor starving that said we are just trying to put food on our table while they're partying for 3 days and the Mercedes going through? That's exactly what I think of when I think of communism. This is everything you need to know. Communists believe their life is okay. Just like everybody who is taking a private jet over to some Save the Earth conference, but their fuel is okay. Bernie Sanders riding a private jet, but calling for socialism, redistribution of wealth. When asked about his extra 25 trips just in the last month or so, he said, "What? Do you expect someone like me to be in line at United?" Yeah. I expect to see someone especially like you in line at United. Why is it bad for everyone else but you? Oh, I know, because you are important. You have something you have to get across to the people. So you don't have to live by the rules you want everyone else to live by. Do as I say, not as I do. That never works. That never, ever works, because the children learn they're not doing it. Why should I? If you're not leading this life, you want to be a communist, that's fine. But I would hope that you're poor. I would hope that you're planning on being poor. I'm hoping that even if you're paid $400,000 a year, that you're planning on giving it away, and you're only going to live on $80,000 a year because you want to take the $400,000 minus the 80 and give it away to people who don't have enough, right? Isn't that right? Or are you special in some way or another? Let me give you another story, kind of in the same vein. This from the Washington Post. Affluent voters have become more Democratic in recent years. There are also some of the biggest winners in the GOP tax bill. Okay. Affluent voters have become more Democratic in recent years. What does that say? The rich are going to the Democratic Party. Why? Because they sense redistribution of wealth is coming, and so they better be on the right side. Kimberly Hoover has been the most Michelin star restaurants in the East and West Coast. She and her wife, millionaires from the real estate firms, own homes in or near New York City, Washington, Miami, Quebec. Their lives are filled with skiing, fine wine, and long trips to Europe. Hoover's accountant estimates the new tax law that President Donald Trump signed this month will save her several $1 million over the next few years. While many Americans might rejoice at that kind of windfall, Hoover worked hard to stop it becoming a reality, arguing to lawmakers that she's made more money than she needs. At some point, it just starts to feel wrong. It starts to feel excessive. It starts to feel somehow inappropriate. Well, then good. Then give it away. Why? What kind of idiot takes money and say, I have all this money, and so I want to give it to the people. I think it feels wrong. And so I'm going to give it to a charity that takes 60% of that money and wastes it. So only 40% of that money is actually going to things I care about. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. And by the way, Hoover, you can do whatever you want with your money. You want to pay more? Let me give you this. Venmo and PayPal now have a link right to the Treasury Department. Their Treasury Department is now accepting Venmo and PayPal payments from those who want to donate money to reduce the national debt. $36.7 trillion. For all of those billionaires that just feel like they've paid not enough money, pay down the national debt. And if all of those billionaires did give millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to pay down the debt, it wouldn't change anything. The national debt wouldn't change. You wouldn't even touch it with all of your money. Give all of it. It won't touch it. It's that insignificant. But if you really cared about the country, and you know why people won't give to the national debt? Because A, they won't see it make a difference. And more importantly, why would I pay down the national debt? They'll just keep spending more. Why should I pay taxes when they are wasting that money? Do you know how much good a charity can do? A charity that's run right, 95 cents on every dollar goes to what it says, and strangely not to some leftist organization that is teaching people how to protest in the streets. You know how much good that would do? You care about Medicare and Medicaid. Take your hundreds of millions of dollars and find a way to get that money to people who don't have insurance. It would be much better than waiting around for the tax rate to be raised on you to force you to pay it to the government, where they will waste 60+%. They don't care. They don't care. That's not true. By the way, NPR, I told you this last week. So they were cut by $550 million. Hey, Hoover, $550 million. You got hundreds of millions of dollars. Why don't you take care of this one? You won't. $550 million lapsed in federal grants. Oh my gosh, Big Bird, it's going to starve to death. He's going to be in Gaza, starving with all the little children. It's going to be horrible, horrendous. You want to see a skinny Big Bird? No, but that's what's going to happen because the federal government's no longer going to pay for Big Bird. So they have $550 million. They have raised in the last 2 weeks $20 million. 20 out of 550. Now that's actually more than I thought that would come in. But that's just from rich liberals who say, we've got to do something. Well, great. $550 million, that should be nothing. To people who have hundreds of millions of dollars, it should be nothing. Pay it. Pay it. But you know what happens next year? You're going to have to pay another $550 million. And then the third year, another $550 million. You going to keep paying that? No, you can't. You'll be bankrupt. Oh, well, that's why it has to be on the people. No, the people are already bankrupt. They're already bankrupt. They don't have that. They don't have it. But if you really, truly believed that this was the most important, $550 million, I would tell you $800 million would have already been raised. If you actually believed that Big Bird was going to starve and that our educational system is going to completely fall apart without PBS and NPR, that no truth is ever going to get out in any way, shape, or form unless we use old-fashioned networks to do it, there'd be $1 billion in the coffer already. But you got 20 million because none of you people believe it. That's what. None of you believe it.